The next speaker, it's me, myself and I. I'm the only one in this session that is not doctor. I'm coming from practice. I will speak today something about practical way of migration of some substances which can came from the packaging material directly in the food, and in that case that can have impact on the HALAL status of the food. Let me see. Maybe not only migration, I will focus on some other things that are related with packaging materials, and also they can have impact on HALAL status of the food. My name is Aleksandra Markovska. I'm coming from Macedonia. I'm working as a consultant in the last 20 years, I can say, and I'm here in the behalf of my faculty of natural science and mathematics, because I am hardly involved in giving lectures to the new students about risk assessments. Everything that I have about the HALAL is related with this agency of HALAL from Tuzla. 15 years ago, it was the first time that I have access to the HALAL standard. Because I'm mainly focused on food safety, I can say that from my professional point of view, my first love was HACCP, but the second one was, of course, HALAL. I don't have that much experience in implementing the HALAL, but I think that the food safety and some of the problems that we have nowadays can also be related or be connected with the HALAL status of the food. My paper is full with chemical and technical, I can say, data, but because I have limited time, I'm biochemist, I can discuss on chemistry everything that you want, but here I will just focus on something that is the most important. The rest of the story you can see in my paper. HALAL nowadays. I was trying to find some definition, what is the HALAL? I was going through so many standards, and in the end something that was interesting and something that can have connection with my presentation was that in HALAL, by default, there is something that is pure anorganic chemical substance, fresh plants and stuff like that. But when we are on that is packaging materials, we cannot find so many materials like this. Because of that, during my 20-year practical experience, when we start with food safety, packaging materials in the beginnings were not so important or interesting. But after 5 or 7 days, we realized that we must focus on something which is called migration. And why is that? The main goal of the packaging material, the main goal of food packaging is to protect the food. That's something that is interesting, that's something that we all want. But the next question is, or the next thing that I want to share with you is that this food packaging material can interact with the food. And like you can see on this picture, I think that this slide is speaking more for itself. There is some process that we call migration. I believe that everyone from you can know that there is four things that can migrate from the food, and they are not pure chemicals, they are impurity, I would say. One of them are monomers, the second we have additives, the third are colorant, and some other part of impurities. Depends on which type of packaging material we are discussing. When you have food, and that food has HALAL label on it, but the consumer doesn't know about all this process, they believe that the food is HALAL. But my question from today's presentation is, do we agree as a certification body who are giving the HALAL status that the food which has this kind of chemicals inside of the food can declare as a HALAL? I think that can be a question that everyone can ask today. Nowadays there is so many different types of packaging materials, so many different types they can migrate. There is no enough legislation on this. Also there is no enough technical people who can control this process. And because of that, I think that the packaging material and the things that can migrate, they can have a really big impact on the halal status of the food. And it's very important in the future, maybe this thing to be more included in the halal standards. Here is one picture. I can say, I believe that everyone who works with food knows this and understands this. I will not go for every layer to explain what is that. But what I want to say, there is another problem related to the packaging material. It's not only the migration of one component from the packaging material in the food. There is the new science, food science I can say, they recognize something else. There is also chemical interaction between some of those chemicals that are mentioned here in this. It's not only that we can have halal food full with polyethylene, but we can have something that can happen between 1 and 4. That is something also which is new in the food safety, but can also have impact on the halal status of the food. Also, it's not only the migration, as I mentioned on the beginning, that can be also something that is related to the halal status of the food, but is connected with the way how the packaging materials are produced. Different type of packaging material has their own way of production, but in some of them we can see that they can use ethanol. I was familiar with only one or two types of productions, but in the end of the day, when I was trying to prepare my presentation, I saw that there is so many different types of packaging material during the production they're using ethanol. I'm not sure if that can be the part of the packaging material, but maybe can be something mesh book, and in the future probably we need to define or use or maybe research what kind of impact that can have on the final product. I already discussed on this. I think that this session is trying too much. I will just skip this and go to the next because I already explained. And the next thing, because I'm a person from the practice, and what I see all the time consumers who are confused about the labeling. I'm not sure that the halal label that is now present on the halal food has enough information for the halal consumers about the packaging and the migration. My idea probably is that maybe in the future we can have something, another label of something which can prove to the final consumers that the packaging material is safe. But I think that no one in the food industry nowadays cannot follow everything that is new. All the time there is something new, and also the packaging material, production of packaging material is changing day by day. Because of that, I saw so many new trends, new alternatives, new changing because of the environmental impacts, because of the migration, because of the food safety. But I think that also will be important that they need to take in consideration the new trends which can have positive effect on halal status on the food materials. In the next slide, I have one video, because I think the lady from the Tetra Pak, she will share everything that I want to say about new trends and how they can impact the food industry, and the next to the halal status of the food. I hope that this will be interesting for you. It's only 2 minutes, not that much.
People think I'm obsessed with packaging, but they don't know the half of it. What I'm actually obsessed with is innovation. All the amazing new things happening in the food industry. And if you ever wondered how an innovation comes to life, let me tell you, it's no walk in the park. It starts with an idea. That's the easy part. Then comes the hard part. We bring together the sharpest, most knowledgeable people from our innovation ecosystem. And we enter into what I call the labyrinth of innovation. There are twists and turns, there are roadblocks, there are dead ends. We solve problems, we see new ones, we solve those too. And we'll keep pushing on until we find a way through. Now do you see why it pays to be obsessed? Of course we use the latest tools and technologies to simulate different scenarios. but we still have to take some wrong turns to get to the right turns. Out of this intense collaborative effort emerges something new, something that improves your business, makes life easier for your consumers, or helps us all tread a little bit more lightly on the planet. Come and join us in the labyrinth of innovation. It starts here.
This is a video that shows how many things are changing day by day in the food industry, and I think that HALAL standards needs to be aligned with all those things. And on my next, or in the last slide, as a conclusion, what I want to say is that maybe, it's from my practical point of view, it will be the good idea if the HALAL standards in future, they follow the IFS development, I can say, because nowadays they have HALAL packaging materials, IFS for packaging materials, or here mentioned like HALAL for packaging materials, HALAL for logistic, because the migration can have influence only if there is some specific logistic characteristics. And in the end, what is very important is something is new in IFS, can be also in the HALAL standardization, is HALAL broker, because with that standard, your final consumer, finally, they will be sure that the product is 100% HALAL.